Hello and welcome to our next news episode, the second one, in our newly created format. So yeah,
Happy to have
Svetlana,
you.
let's quickly go over what we're talking about today, and then I'll share my screen.
Yeah. So today we'd love to cover. I think I want to say like 6 different points, and
Yes,
we'll talk about Google Next, kind of overview. I had a chance to attend the conference and just my reflection. And one use case specifically that kind of stood out to me that I'd love to share and get Edgar's thoughts on that specifically. Gemini 1.5 release
yeah,
with that. We'll talk about Humane AI review, that pin that was more recently released. We'll talk about Grok 1.5 vision, kind of preview, release, our reflections on what that is. We'll talk about GPT-4 Turbo release and kind of the vision capabilities now being more widely available for enterprises.
officially, yeah.
And officially, yes. And last but not least, and I think the most exciting, actually, we're leaving the best for last, is Udio, which is a new agent. Well, basically not agent, but an AI model. I know Edgar is very particular about using that word. But Udio is an audio. I want to say generate.
Yeah,
I want to
it's
say
an
it's like
audio generator, like a music generator, you can call it. Yeah,
yeah, with
yeah.
voice, and I think that's I think the
Yeah, it's
distinguishing
ridiculous.
factor.
So
It's not just
and
music,
we,
but
we we will also share some samples from the site.
yeah.
Yeah, really impressive stuff.
Yeah. So you'll get to hear what an AI generated, like end to end music with
Yeah,
voice sounds like. So, really excited about this episode. So, should we dive in?
yeah. Let's go. I'll share my screen. The first screen is not like it's a bright one. Sorry for everyone who's watching in the dark. So yeah, Google Next. You were actually on site. You were like our inside woman. Yeah,
Yes. I took one for the team and ended up going to Las Vegas where Google
yeah,
Next
yeah.
was.
It's really sad to go to Vegas.
Yes, it was. It's a very disappointing experience. But yeah, no, I think it was an interesting location, but there were 30,000 attendees, I want to say. So it was a
Okay,
huge,
oh,
huge
that's huge.
conference.
That's really huge. Yeah,
And lots of learnings. I think if you get a chance to look at the keynotes, there's 2 keynotes speeches that are available for you to look at that provide kind of an overview of.
might even be more. Meanwhile, I'm not sure, but yeah, there's a developer keynote and the main keynote which I watched, and they are pretty interesting. Yeah. A
Yeah.
bit cringy in the execution, but yeah.
But yeah, I think they're again openly available on YouTube. So if you're curious about kind of some of the latest development
Not
on
now.
Google,
Leave later.
yes, yeah, do not go and watch it. So I think overall, very very interesting. I think some of the same themes around Gemini. Gemini is huge, and it was
Yeah,
widely talked about. Lots of vendors on the floor have
yeah.
been
It's
playing around or
also
using it
yeah,
in
it's also
their
now official. Yeah,
yeah, the Gemini 1.5. So maybe let me dive into one specific use case that stood
yeah.
out to me as well. So if you're on LinkedIn, you can get a picture of what I'm talking about because I recently posted a just a quick post on this featuring the image. But basically, they have these kind of robotic cars that that are basically riding around on the floor, and they are exposed to 8 images that are basically pictured on these
Can
2
also
blocks.
show this.
Oh, is there? Oh, yeah.
I have
Maybe you
it
can
open
pull up
here.
that
Yeah.
that image.
I
So you have those blocks that have the 8 images, and there are different parts of the city. So there's basically maybe like a stadium, or there's a restaurant, maybe there's something else, maybe an office building. And so,
yeah.
without explicitly being trained, these cars that have like these cameras are connected to Gemini. And then there's a computer where I'm standing, where I'm taking the picture. And you're prompting the system, basically Gemini, to say, like, hey, I feel like meeting my friend for coffee. Take me there. And so the car starts driving around on this road, and it stops at an image that looks like a restaurant, basically.
Hmm.
And they'll even the person who was standing there was like, oh, if it stops on that block, it's probably right. And so actually, like from a few prompts that I was able to um, task it with, it was correct every single time. And again, what I think was what was really impressive to me is that what they said was that these cars are basically the vision aspect of Gemini was not explicitly trained on these images.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think it's a it's an improvement, and maybe this is part of their initiative to improve the self-driving cars, if that's basically or one of the initiatives they're leading at Google. But I thought it
Yeah.
was totally promising. Although I think what you did mention is that, hey, were these real images? They were not. They were illustrations.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah,
you made a really funny
there was
point.
my first thought was like, is it actually good that it stops at an image? Like, what if I wanted to go to the Eiffel Tower and sees a postcard and stops there? So,
Yeah,
yeah,
maybe next phase of innovation is to
yeah, maybe,
up their game in the images. But I think, I mean, it's still early stage, but even the work that they were able to demonstrate with these cars was pretty
yeah,
impressive. So uh,
yeah. I also think like one should not underestimate what this means that we don't have to train this on specific objects. So it makes sense from as making sense from images opens up so much use cases. It's really really cool. One of which is also a video production, because I this week for the last week's podcast I wanted to produce a trailer, and yeah, basically Gemini 1.5 Pro released, and it has a new context window of 1 million tokens, and this is huge, literally, because what I was able to do, I think they also have, yeah, they, I was able to upload a whole video. They did here like a video without any text even, and they got scenes from it. And what I did was I had our 53-minute podcast recording from last week. I just threw it in. It was 949,000 tokens. And I said, hey, I want to do a trailer. Please give me all the timestamps of interesting parts from that video. And yeah, like I said, 950K tokens, like close to 1 million. But I threw it in there. It was like 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes processing, and it got back a list of scenes. And then I went into my editor, was able to directly jump into their scene. I then like corrected some of the time frames just to some other parts which I found even more interesting. But at least I didn't have to look through the whole video and collect scenes there. That was amazing. It saved me, I think it saved me an hour or so. I did the whole trailer in like 50 minutes or so, which usually would have taken me like close to 2 hours. So yeah, really, really great work. And yeah, I'm really hyped. I'm cannot wait, because you can also do stuff like upload a whole code base and solve something. And yeah, it's really cool and really amazing possibilities. So yeah, kudos Google, you've done a great job here.
yeah.
Also to get back to the keynotes, yeah, watch it through. There were a lot of talks about agents. Get into our recent or next episode. I'm not sure when the news will come out, but get to that and watch it through. There we talked a lot about agents and the definitions. So yeah, have a look there. I won't repeat this now because otherwise this news episode will get far too huge. And yeah, did you have to add anything from the next event?
Yeah, I would just highly recommend it. I think when I came back, even some of the teams that I'm leading, I would highly recommend, if you're in the developer world, if you're kind of machine learning, artificial intelligence, just in general, it's an excellent conference to go to, from
Yeah.
upskilling, understanding use cases, how the technology could be leveraged,
Yeah.
and
Maybe
things
we
like that.
quickly glance over the topics. So AI hypercomputer, that's like they put a lot of emphasis on infrastructure, and rightfully so. They have a lot of stuff done there. Then we talked about Gemini already. The Vertex AI platform is getting extended with new tooling like Vertex AI Agent Builder, there's a lot. There's a lot coming and already in Google Cloud now, which you can use for your generative AI experience. So if you're on the Google side of things, definitely worth looking.
Attending. They're probably going to host another one towards the end of the year, so be on the lookout. I would
Yeah,
highly
the I/O
recommend you
is
attend.
in May. My brother is telling me that he's doing night shifts right now and extra hours every day to get stuff ready for the I/O. So I think it will be
awesome.
huge. Like this was a lot of focus for Google Cloud because that's the next event. That's what it's about, I think. So the I/O will be something to look at, definitely.
Next.
Okay.
So should we dive into Humane
Yeah,
AI?
that was one I actually looked forward to because I thought the Humane Pin was something I wouldn't even consider buying for that price. And even the price is not all. You have to pay then $24 a month for actually using it.
What's the
Which
upfront cost just for our audience?
$700. So you buy it for $700, then you pay another $24 a month for
To
using
continue
it.
to
So,
use it.
yeah, and that's including the AI services which work with the OpenAI models, as far as I know.
They have to
And
recoup those costs because I think, again, a lot of money probably went into development. So if people are asking, like, well,
yeah,
why
definitely.
the
So
heck?
I get that, but they also have like pretty wealthy investors in there, so they could have done it other way. So if you think about RabbitMQ, which is a far larger device, which costs only like I think $200 or $300, like from that perspective, it's a better deal. But it's also another concept. So just to give you a brief overview, the Humane Pin is what you see here. Like it's a pin which magnetically attaches to your clothes. So you have like a magnet you put behind your jacket, and then you just clip it in front of your jacket, and it basically works completely with voice. So you tap, I think, with 2 fingers or something, and then you just say what you want to say, like what's the weather, write to my wife, stuff like that, like order a pizza, and yeah, and then it also has a camera, so you can say like, tell me about whatever you see in front of us. So you can hold up a Coke, for example, and say, is it healthy for me, or what are the calories of that, stuff like that. So that's the basic idea. And if you have to actually see something, you see it, like it doesn't have a display. It has a laser projector built in, which projects onto your hand, and you can use like hand gestures with pinching to actually like move stuff. So pretty futuristic. I like the ambition, but to
What's
be
the
honest,
verdict? What's the verdict?
well, the verdict was pretty like the Verge article I have here. It was one of the ones that were at least a bit positive at some point. The others weren't so kind, and it was kind of obvious. So the thing is, it won't replace your phone. That's what I always said. It's like, I don't need another device.
Yeah.
Everything that thing does, except for the camera, I could have on my Apple Watch, no issues at all. And it's just a prototype. Like, it's not really working well. A lot of stuff it should be able to do, it just doesn't do. It says, no, I can't do this now. You have to wait for an update. The latency, that's what really got me puzzled a bit, to be honest, because the latency is awful. You ask for the weather and it just needs like 15 seconds to ask for it. The thing is about the latency, if it's quicker to get out my phone, look at my screen, and put back my phone, why should I use it?
Yeah. Because it's cool. I mean, it's futuristic. So for
yeah,
people
but
who want that.
latency was one of the worst things, and then oftentimes it just didn't work as expected, or breaks midway through the task. It's like the general idea is good, but it's far from a point where you are even allowed to take several $100 from anyone. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
that.
I think I'm not a big fan of that form factor, is what you would kind of call that. So form factor is basically the way that you would interact with technology. So as you
Mm.
mentioned, there's an iWatch, the Apple Watch, there's the phone, and other kind of ways, like computer would be another form factor. I'm just not big on interacting with this via voice. So I think it's a bit intrusive. So you're just kind of talking to it instead of, I want to say, like if you're prompting or if you want to check something in your phone,
Yeah.
you actually have to speak to your phone to be able to do it. So you're quite more invisible and kind of whatever you want to do. But what if you're in public and you want to check the weather? A bit obnoxious for you, especially if you're in the
Yeah,
library, to
and
be like, "Hey,
also
can you tell me the weather?"
yeah, and also what are you doing, like when you're on a concert or something and you want to do like write a message, for example, then the voice only stuff breaks pretty quickly. So
Yeah,
yeah, there are a lot of stuff that can happen. Like I think if you combine, like I said, my Apple Watch, for example, it has I have one with cellular, and I have a SIM card in there, or like as an eSIM, but I have connection to the internet without my phone, so I can leave my phone at home, go running, and stream on Spotify, no issues. Um, and I can also connect my AirPods wirelessly to that, and then I have a system which basically works. It's not perfect, but it works. And even in like loud environments, my AirPods have noise canceling, and it also works with beamforming, audio, stuff like that. Having that pin as a variable just does not work all the time, or the times you need it. And
yeah,
what's the point if I cannot replace a smartphone? Like they say, like they want to free you from your smartphone. It just doesn't work. Like it's not even close. That's the verdict. Also,
yeah.
and that's, I don't get it. Why do AI companies all feel the need to promise the world? I don't get it, honestly, because
Because it sells. It
yeah,
sells,
I think
and
it's also an investor thing. So they promise
yeah,
that not to you, but more to the investors' sides to get fresh money. I talked about Devon, which is like this programming assistant agent, which yeah, most likely is a scam, as from what we know right now. So uh, it's all over again, right? It's like always the same. You have all these companies want to grab a quick buck and then like destroy every other project that's serious about this stuff, and it's so annoying. It's so frustrating.
well, they have to
Um,
sell someone on the vision to get, like as you mentioned, a quick buck, and it's quite frustrating because
yeah,
there are companies that are actually doing really cool things and can get the
yeah.
same funding, maybe because their
Yeah,
vision is not as grand as
yeah, no,
some of
or
these.
they don't oversell it like completely. That's the thing, right? The Humane Pin, in my honest opinion, they should have done something like O1 does, where they have a device, but they also have like the prints, and like do a beta phase. Don't do it to earn money. Like try to create a product which actually works, which you then can sell. And but yeah, this is just yeah, just work. It is the
Yeah,
same for stuff like Microsoft Copilot or the Google Workspaces functionalities. Like they all sell it like the be all end all solutions, and they are not even close. Like I can accept early adopter stuff and first mover stuff, like Apple Vision Pro, for example. Everyone was expecting it to be a first gen product, and that's fine. And Apple didn't sell anything that they did not deliver on
yeah,
that. So, and I think that's the point. Like, don't oversell like completely. Like,
yeah, because
and
you'll get
it,
destroyed.
sell the vision, but say like we have to work on it. It's not there yet. So it's the same. Like OpenAI also does not go ahead and tells everyone like, yeah, by the way, like we have AGI, just use ChatGPT. No, that's like they say the opposite. Like we are still working on it.
Yeah.
Um,
Be more realistic in setting the expectation, especially for the
yeah,
public who is going to come and buy your pen
yeah,
or buy your technology and destroy it and
yeah.
and be quite ruthless about it.
And
So
I stop now to be so emotional about that, but I'm a startup founder by heart, and it breaks my heart seeing people destroy the road for other people that actually can walk on it. So yeah.
So speaking of vision, just kind of these
And emotional people.
models and emotional people. Let's talk about Grok.
Yeah, let's talk about Elon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Grok Vision preview. Something dropped out of the blue on Friday. It was not surprising after I read it, but like no one see that coming. And like multimodality is I have told it a lot already in this episode. I love what we can do with vision and text combined. And audio is also coming. We will have it at the end of the episode. But quickly, Grok presents their like XAI. Is XAI, right? Presents their new vision model in preview at least. I'm not sure even if I can use it, but they even created own benchmarks for that, which was kind of interesting. And they have also benchmarks which were found interesting, where the Claude Sonnet vision beats Claude Opus, which is the bigger model. So
interesting.
That was interesting. Yeah.
What benchmarks are they using? Yeah, I'm curious.
So MMMU is like the basic normal benchmark, and I think it's more. Is it vision? Yeah, it is also vision. But yeah, you have real world QA, and I think that's one they built themselves, and the one they built themselves, they're winning in it. So the other benchmarks are kind of mixed. But yeah, in general, it's really interesting, and what they basically have, what no one else has, is like petabytes of data from Teslas. Like Tesla's recording everything and sending it to the servers was a huge move. Like they're sitting on a huge amount of data. They also have Dojo, which is their AI computer for training their autonomous driving model, which is one of the largest AI supercomputers in the world. So they have data and they have the compute. So it was to be expected that they come out of the. This is the first vision model, and they're already competing. So that's really impressive.
Do they have examples of or demos on the site?
Yeah, like they did, for example, write code from a diagram, which worked pretty well. Like this is basically everyone knows like it's a flow chart or a flow diagram, and it built a the Python code from it. And that was the real world QA benchmark which they introduced. These are road pictures, which of course they will be the best in because they have just so much of it. And what it does is just basically the question was where can I go from the current lane, and it said turn left, go straight, or turn left and go straight, and turn right. And it answered it properly. So for everyone interesting, that's the official Grok 1.5 vision blog post. You can have a look. They explain it a bit here. But yeah, it was really interesting to see that they come out of the blue with the vision model, which from the get-go competes with the big ones. It's really good.
And I think it's promising also just for, and I say this a lot, and I think maybe we've said this in other episodes on our podcast, that, companies should be putting data to use. And if this is kind of that amount of data gives you an unfair advantage, and no one else would be able to kind of like outcompete you just because you have that data, that's a competitive moat for your business. So if there are opportunities for you to do what kind of X did, where you have data that no one else in the industry, like how can you put that data to use to give you that competitive advantage? And we're seeing, again, Elon doing that with Grok. So that's exciting.
Yeah, it's good. Like they definitely are strong. So also like GPT gets some updates in summer, I guess, and there will be Llama 3, which I'm really looking forward to see what Facebook does with the next model. And so we are in for a wild ride, and Grok is definitely on that same train. So good work.
I'm excited to see what's next. But speaking of enterprises and kind of like putting data to use, so we have a big announcement this week with GPT-4 kind of
Yeah,
turbo.
big is maybe a bit far stretched, but
It is.
they announced a new update. The new update includes one major thing, which is GPT-4 Turbo with Vision is out of preview, so it's now generally available. And one thing that I was personally missing because I implemented GPT-4 Vision already in my product
Okay. Hmm.
is the JSON mode and function calling,
Yep.
because it was not able to do that, so I had to throw it out. And I think even tonight we'll throw it back in to have it back, because I switched to the Google Vision model, which at least in Germany was really slow from the inference point of view,
Hmm.
and I'm really looking forward to get back to GPT-4V. With the small asterisk that I have to see if Azure already has the non-preview version of that, because everything I do works inside Azure because of data security
Hmm.
and stuff. But yeah, that's that. So I think the announcement is good. They also announced a new update for the GPT-4 Turbo model itself. It should be better at reasoning and logic. That's at least what Sam Altman says. People didn't get a lot of like actual hard facts on that, but what they got is they had I think an 8% or even 10% jump on the coding benchmark from before. So it's definitely some improvement there. I basically still rely 100% on the GPT-4 Turbo model because I love the consistency and I love how it works. I might be inclined to try GPT 1. Gemini 1.5 at some point. But yeah, just for a practical point of view, I really have to rely on GPT for getting better, because that's what you find on Azure.
Yeah, and I
So yeah,
think I do
pleased to
think
see.
that there is, and so I work with enterprises, and so within enterprises, I do think it's quite big. So if you're looking to introduce improvements in your models, and so instead of swapping, continuing to swap models, if you're using GPT type tools, again, these enhancements in quality and output and availability of the turbo will provide you those enhancements, which, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, also they have some cost optimizations they've also introduced to it as well. So
Yeah,
again, there's wider use cases, there's higher quality, but then also the, as you mentioned, JSON kind of output. So it's and custom optimization. So I do think that it is quite a sizable announcement. I think for enterprises, if you're
yeah,
already leveraging GPT technology in your tools.
yeah, definitely. What I find interesting now is that they have Devon uh, as an example here, which people are pretty sure is fake. So that's interesting. And they also have like a meal app which um, gives you nutritional information. This is really cool. If that works, it's really helpful, because like I was doing calorie tracking back in the days, and and I like my wife does a lot of stuff herself. So
Hmm.
every meal like I have to create it basically completely myself. So having something where I can just point and shoot, maybe give some information in natural language, and then gives me the nutrients back. Yeah, might be kind of helpful, because like counting calories is always more an approximation than everything than anything else. But
Yeah.
so yeah.
And speaking of meals, I'll just give a use case that I've recently used. The For meal, so I have a macro plan so that I
Mm-hmm.
follow. So I actually prompted the system to be like, hey, I want to create like a meal plan for the day. Here's my calorie count, and then here are my macros. These are the things that I don't like, or the things that I want to have like as
Mm-hmm.
requirements, and it spit out like including snacks, like here's what all you needed
Yeah.
to do. And so all I had to do is just like be mindful of like sizes, portion sizes. But it was pretty good. And like all the choices that it suggested was spot on. So
Interesting.
I think for me, for meal planning, it's like, yeah, I was speaking of
Uh,
like jobs and the job apocalypse, like nutritionist, if not augmented, could be potentially like replaced because you could use this on your own and like build yourself a plan,
yeah,
for sure. And then take pictures of like to track, as you mentioned, like to track what you've actually inputted and like reconcile to what your plan was. I mean, use GPT Vision. I think that would be like a cool use case. So for anyone, for any entrepreneurs out there, if you are interested in building something like that out, that could be game changing.
yeah, definitely. So yeah, also the usual like draw something and then build the code for it. Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, it's really interesting. So like I oftentimes miss a proper handwriting recognition because I have awful handwriting, and GPT-4 Vision is actually really good at that. And because like having my notes handwritten and then translated and indexable properly would help me, a lot, keeping track of stuff, because like I would love to scribble stuff down on my iPad and then just run it through GPT-4 Vision, and it fills out my Notion tasks, for example. So that would be
That's
something
awesome.
pretty awesome.
An automated workflow. So listen to the other podcast that we just covered,
Yeah,
which was on automated agents. So cross
yeah,
promoting it if you like.
definitely worth having a look or a hear on your favorite podcast platform or YouTube.
Yeah. So
Um,
and we left the best for the last,
yeah,
and I
that's
think
what
this
us.
is
We are
really
already like
exciting.
we have to find out how we get this episodes shorter. But
I
so
know.
many
Yeah.
AI news
Sorry.
always to cover. Yeah. But yeah, Udio. I stop sharing for a second, and we'll share the actual tab because it's 100% worth it to listen to what we have to show now, because Udio is basically the ChatGPT moment for music creation, and that's how it was widely recognized. And what you basically do, just to give you a quick explanation, is you write a prompt, either yourself or you can use just the suggested tags, and that's something I already tried. You can you can just say auto generate, but you can also do instrumental. Why an instrumental, you ask? Yeah, because the auto-generated part also generates the voice, including the text. And that
That's
sounds,
nuts.
for example, like this. So it's just a bounce in my step, yeah, loaded with pep. And I find it really interesting because, like, now I have studio headphones on my head, and now I can hear nuances that it's like that's not a natural voice, but might also be just auto tune. Yeah, right. So, um, and is there maybe the prompt? Ah, they even got the lyrics in there. Okay, interesting. Yeah.
That's
Um,
awesome.
so,
I mean, I think
yeah,
maybe you're,
that was a prompt. Barbershop, rhythmic, happy, melodic. They really just put in the text.
but I think you may have also like a trained ear because I know that kind of audio video production is something that you have. Like to me, I can't detect, or like to me it would sound
Yeah,
completely.
of course. And also, I cannot hear it. I played it now, the same song. I played it on my Sonos like one box, and I
Uh-huh.
played it on my phone, and you basically cannot hear that it's not real. So, well, it is real, but it's not produced by anything that produced music before.
But this is
uh,
awesome. I mean, like, ooh, speaking of like marketing and like, ooh, how is this useful? I mean, you could create playlists for yourself, so personal, but
yeah,
for business, like, why not generate music for your
yeah.
ad or marketing, or do
So
the soundtrack
yeah,
behind your
so
videos?
I tried basically some of the features because but music is something I have in my heart and have had for a long time now. I play guitar myself, I sing myself, but I always wanted some source where I can just get a beat and write a text on it and sing it. And now I can basically do just that. I can just say what I would love to have for a tone, and then it generates me some examples, and I can regenerate and remix. And also it generates like 30-second clips, which I can then extend. And yesterday I went ahead, I cannot show that now, but I went ahead, I created a 2-minute beat and just sang something on it. And it's not perfect, but you can work with that. And if I spent like 30 minutes to an hour on this, and like, imagine someone who just loves to write text and doesn't want to sing, doesn't want to play an instrument, just loves to write lyrics. He can now go ahead, and you can not only auto-generate instrumental, you can also write custom lyrics. You can write your lyrics in here, and we'll try to produce a song using your lyrics. So now you don't need a producer, you don't need a singer, you don't need anyone. You can just type in the text and you can produce art, and that's really, really cool. I really like it.
And I have an idea that just popped into my head. I think this is maybe finally when we could get you to sing too for our intros to the podcast.
Yeah.
Now it's possible with AI. So
Yeah.
maybe stay tuned in the next coming episodes featuring Edgar himself.
Yeah, I was yesterday. I quickly recorded a bit. I was thinking about showing it today, but I'm kind of shy on that one.
Oh, please. We all want to hear it, even including myself. So he didn't share it with me either. So
like, put it down in the comments if you want to hear the recording, and I'll see what we can do in the next news episode.
please do, because I want to hear it.
Yeah, and I definitely will do it if we reach 50 likes, and then I definitely will do it.
I like it.
Okay,
all right. And I think this is the last of it. Again, invite everyone to subscribe if you really enjoy this format from us. We also do kind of deep dives on AI and kind of practical advice for how to implement AI solutions into the business. This week we focused on automated agents, intelligent agents, and things like that, covering Google next a little bit more at length. So please subscribe, favorite this channel, click the bell button, ring,
click the bell, click every button but the dislike button.
The dislike. As you say that. No, but we would also like to hear from you. Really appreciate on the last episode that we did this, we got some feedback.
Really cool. Thank you very much for that.
So again, it's just validation for us to just keep going, and that this is something that's of value to you. And let us know how we could do better. Always listening and responsive to your feedback. So thank you so much again for tuning in and watching.
Also, for everyone who always wanted to create a song, I can just encourage you. Udio.com it's for free right now. It's in the test phase. Sometimes it takes for generation, but definitely try it out. It's the next leap in AI in general. So be part of it. Thanks for listening. I'm always curious to read your comments. I try to also answer at least some of them. And thanks for your support. And I guess
click.
We see you next one. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.